We'll have welcome from Mr. Robert Conrad from DG Environment very soon, and then after that we start with the several presentations from the facilitators. After that, we will have a short coffee break, so for you to take the coffee, and the second session will start at 11. We continue basically with the presentations from the facilitators. Then we will have one presentation from Alex Kotsev, my colleague from GRC, and one presentation on the evolution of geospatial knowledge-based training platform, which is currently a project we are working on. And then basically at the end we will have a presentation from DG Environment from Yuri Robrecht on the evaluation and evolution of INSPIRE, and we expect closing around 12:30. Okay, by saying that, I would like to give the floor now to Mr. Robert Conrad to welcome and basically to open this event. Robert, please, the floor is yours.
Very well. Good morning. I do hope that despite having a few technical issues here on my side, you can hear me?
Yes, Robert, loud and clear.
That's very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. And good morning, everybody, and welcome to the INSPIRE Community Forum webinar. I'm Robert Conrad. I'm from the unit Better Regulation and Compliance at DG Environment, which is the unit also responsible for the INSPIRE directive and coordination of, let's say, horizontal digital files in DG Environment. And first of all, I mean, I would really appreciate the colleagues who have acted as the INSPIRE Community Forum facilitators, and also other colleagues from the JRC for organizing this webinar. We are now living in a very extraordinary times when it is not possible actually to meet in person, and indeed a classical and traditional INSPIRE community meetings like the INSPIRE annual conference were this year held in the virtual format, and of course I think also therefore a bit reduced in the scope and also the participation. So I think that it's important to keep the community and the discussion in the community alive. And I see and I'm very pleased to see that, for example, we have more than 150 people who have registered for this seminar. So it really shows that despite the fact that we are online only, there is a strong interest from the community. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the INSPIRE is digital directive. As I always say, it is the only legally binding digital standard which we got in the EU. So of course, it's only natural that the INSPIRE community is would be actually the first one to embrace also this type of working through, let's say, virtual modes. And the whole story of the maintenance and the implementation of the INSPIRE directive is indeed a story where the community has consulted and worked together very closely. It is indeed a very collaborative approach in the way how the directive is being implemented. And I think that indeed this type of discussions that we're also having today, and especially, I mean, the ability to showcase the use cases, to have a practical examples of where and when and under which conditions the INSPIRE was used. I mean, these are really the driving forces for data sharing and interoperability, and also I mean, good practices are being the drivers for technical interoperability. And so it's a great opportunity also to inform the INSPIRE community about the progress that is being made. And at this point of time, I think it is quite important to engage with all of you in a discussion about a possible future directions, possible future way for the implementation of the INSPIRE directive. In particular, because we really have a very rapidly changing landscape. I mean, we even if we go really beyond the new ways of working that we are experiencing in the year 2020. I mean, also at the EU level, we are having now the twin priority of the green and digital transition. I mean, that's the key. That's the key, let's say, mandate of the current Commission of Madame von der Leyen. And there is a huge and let's say unprecedented opportunity. We have now the Europe Fit for Digital Age priority and let's say the Green Deal priority, and these are closely linked. And indeed, we are closely as involved in the dialogue with the colleagues from who are doing the Europe Fit for Digital Age priority on the upcoming initiatives. You know that the Commission is going to present now a very ambitious digital package, which will be about the data, which will be about the digital markets and the digital platforms. And I think all this only shows that and in all these initiatives, of course, there is always the environmental dimension being not only the footprint of the digital, but also the enabling potential of the digital. And last but not least, something that is of concern to this community, which is basically the data access, sharing, use of the data from public administration, private operators, and there is going to be, and quite, as you will see, a quite interesting developments there. Now, the Commission, as you may know, has the obligation to evaluate the INSPIRE directive by the 1st January 2022, and the directive is now more than a decade old. And of course, because we are really talking about the digital directive, where basically we have a rapid developments, and of course that means that also the directive is very much in a need of a technology update. I mean, we are not going for no legacy principle, saying we don't need INSPIRE anymore. We are going to do the update. And as I mentioned before, there are the two kind of main priorities: the green and the digital. And there is also going to be a intersection of these two, because there is on one side, let's say, the European strategy for data, and on the other side the Green Deal, and there is going to be something which is called European Green Deal data space. That will be actually the space also for this community, where we are going to try and experiment in this now with a very serious political as well as financial funding being available. So political support and the financial funding, we are going to experiment in a way how to actually make the data which are relating to Green Deal, so to environment, to climate change, to agriculture, and so on and so forth, in a way shareable, interoperable within the Green Deal data space. And I mean, my colleague Yuri will tell you more about both evaluation and the Green Deal data space later. Of course, it's not the only thing. I mean, we also need to harvest the value added of the INSPIRE, also regarding the better implementation of the environmental legislation. So we are still working very much on the reporting and the link between the INSPIRE and the statutory reporting. And of course, we are, as I have tried to say all the time today, we are trying to work together, in particular with the colleagues in DG Connect, to mainstream INSPIRE into all now ongoing digital initiatives and legislative, non-legislative, and funding actions that are being cooked as we speak. And by doing this, we really indeed are trying to facilitate the streamlining of the INSPIRE directive with the digital initiatives such as an open data, such as the high value data sets. Then I have mentioned the Green Deal data space, which is part of the EU common data spaces. And indeed, by actually using and mainstreaming the INSPIRE into these activities, we are actually hoping that we are further guaranteeing and contributing to the INSPIRE fitness for purpose. We are also, this will also have, of course, the implication for a evaluation and possible future revision of the INSPIRE. And I think in a way of indeed making the INSPIRE as it is a legislation, kind of a legally binding digital framework for interoperability and data sharing. And all these evolutions have been recognized in a new and ambitious multi-annual work program for the years 2020-2024, which was also endorsed by the INSPIRE Maintenance and Implementation Expert Group 2 weeks ago. And this new multi-annual work program is indeed focused on kind of using the directive and its implementation as a kind of a contribution and as a framework to support the green and digital transformation. And there is indeed this idea and ambition to have the INSPIRE underpinning the European Green Deal data space, which is then, of course, linking us to the kind of idea of having really a room or the data space which will have a clear link and a clear role in the implementation of the European Green Deal. So I think these are very, very exciting times. I mean, all the things that we have been working for more than a decade are now really coming nicely together. I mean, there is an extremely, I think, a good opportunity now to kind of not only complete the let's say the legal implementation of the INSPIRE in terms of kind of meeting the remaining legal deadlines, but also now the opportunity to make the best use of the INSPIRE in supporting green and digital transformation, the opportunity to also have now a thorough evaluation of the INSPIRE and with the view to, of course, improve it as much as possible. And I think that also this workshop should indeed reflect and engage in a discussion on this let's say future role and the position of the INSPIRE. So thanks a lot, and I look forward to hearing as I always do when I participate to these events, interesting use cases, interesting presentations, and engaged discussions. So thanks a lot, and I hand over back to Vlad. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert, for this inspiring words and basically introduction into this webinar of today. Before we start with the first presentation, before I give the floor to Lena, just two logistical things. So the meeting is being recorded, and we will share the recording afterwards on the forum webinar webpage, and as well all the presentations will be available afterwards also on the webinar page. By saying this, I would now like to share quickly my screen just to basically give you the Slido. Paul, I don't know if you already logged in to the Slido. So the Slido code is ICF Webinar. And we will start with the first poll there. Okay. I think you should see it now if you are logged in the Slido. So basically, the first poll is the first question. Let's say is just for you to answer. Have you used the Inspire Community Forum thematic clusters? So please, you can answer it also during the presentation, and then we will show the results and some more questions at the end of the Lena's presentations. So Lena, please, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Vlado. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Great. So I'm Lena Hallin-Pihlati. I work for the National Land Survey of Finland with INSPIRE coordination, but I've been working part-time with the INSPIRE Community Forum activity for 6 years. I will give a kind of an overview presentation, an overview of the INSPIRE community activity to set the scene for the next presentations. They will then go into more details. This presentation is given by me, but it has been prepared by facilitators, our MIG liaisons and JRC. So first to the background, there was a midterm evaluation done around 2013 about how the INSPIRE implementation was going, and some challenges were identified. And to tackle some of them, the thematically orientated challenges, it was agreed to start building and strengthen the communities around INSPIRE themes, groups of INSPIRE themes, and to create a platform for sharing experience and for discussing implementation issues, having in mind that the deadlines of harmonizing datasets was coming up in 2017 and 2020. And the Commission allocated funding for this activity, and it has been carried out under the MIG work programs. It has been coordinated by JRC and currently by Vlado, our chair today. In 2014, exactly 6 years ago, actually, a platform was launched under the name INSPIRE Thematic Cluster. And in that, the 34 INSPIRE themes were aggregated into 9 domains. Each of the domains had a facilitator. You can see the pictures of us there on the right. Many of us have been involved since then. The role of the facilitator is to support thematic discussions on the platform, provide information, and to interact with the MIG. And a few years later, the activity was evaluated, and there was a need to link the activity better to other activities of the MIG. For example, related to environmental monitoring and other directives. And there was also, the facilitators brought forward a need for a section for discussing and solving cross-cutting technical issues common to all domains. And as a result, a new platform was launched with 2 new cross-cutting sections, one focusing on softwares and tools and one focusing on INSPIRE and other environmental policies. And as a part of that process, we introduced controlled tags. So all the content that was already existing on the old platform was re-tagged so that it would emerge in the section in appropriate sections. So all the materials were reused. On the right, upper right, you can see the old cluster, and here on the left, a new one. And if you think what is the crown jewel of the core of this activity, according to me, it's the content. And I would like to stress that it's the whole community, all registered users that have been able to provide content, not only facilitators. We have helped, but the community have been really active, as you see, discussing topics and bringing forward issues, bringing forward good examples, and so on. So a big thanks to everyone who has contributed. In the following, I will give a quick overview of how to use the platform. I will focus on 2 sections, on the thematic domains, softwares and tools, and how to search for the information you're interested by tags. So this is the thematic domain section, how it looks like. You have all the 9 thematic domains listed there, and then you have content, discussion topics, a list of them, and you can use tags to search. You can also click on the icon of a thematic domain and go further into that domain. If you're, for example, interested in land cover and land use issue, you can look on the contents which have been tagged with that information and look at files and discussions and pages created and so on. Going to the software and tools sections, the discussions are on the bottom, but in addition, there have been some drop-down lists added by Stefania and Jordi in these sections that you can go in and see more detailed information on different topics. And there you see a clear link also to the previous MIG program. When searching for tag, there's a tag index with different categories that help you find the tags that you're interested in. Are you interested in something software related, as I have presented here, or something more policy related? You can choose the category you're interested in. And then you can use one or several tags, use the operators and or to check out stuff. And all of this you can do without being registered. You need to register if you want to contribute to the discussion, to actually follow tags to get notifications when there are new material and so on. But it's convenient only to get for finding information. In the next 3 slides, I'll summarize the achievements of the activity as we facilitators see it. The main achievement, I'd say, is that the activity have supported the INSPIRE implementation overall, and especially in different thematic communities. You see examples here what the activity have been able to provide. And the activity has also supported the INSPIRE community in interacting with other communities to exchange knowledge and to increase understanding. Here are just examples of the communities and networks that we have been involved in. We have had organized a lot of joint events and so on. And the activity has made it possible to arrange a wide range of events like this one today. I've been co-organizing 5 workshops during these years, and I'm sure some of the facilitators have organized even more. And the events, they have been promoted through the platform and material have been shared. And as a final achievement, I'd like to highlight that this activity has given the thematic community a voice to help INSPIRE to improve and evolve. And this work is still ongoing, and we will hear some more in the next presentations. Before I end my presentation, I'd like to draw your attention to the future of this activity. It's actually coming to its end, and sometime next year it will be archived. And it means that you will still be able to search for information on it, but you will not be able to add new information. So the INSPIRE Community Forum will be migrated into INSPIRE Help Desk. They will answering to general questions, while then more technical or specific issues will be directed to other fora here on the right. Some of them already exist on for example, GitHub. Therefore, I'd encourage you to follow the INSPIRE channels of JRC to learn more about when this change is taking place. But my presentation has come to an end, and on behalf of the facilitator, I would like to thank the Commission for having the opportunity to do this work. And a big thanks to JRC for coordinating it and for MIG people helping out. And then I would like to thank the whole community, INSPIRE community and sister communities for being active in this cooperation. So thank you. Now I think, Vlado, we could have a look.
Yes, thank you,
We could
Lena. I will
go.
just kindly ask you to stop sharing your screen so that I can show then the
Yes.
polls. Thank you.
The first question was if you have used the INSPIRE Community Forum or thematic cluster.
I'm just having some problem in sharing my content. I don't know why.
Should we then proceed with the presentations and take it later?
Maybe we can, or I don't know if you can maybe share the slide of poll. If not problem for you.
Vlado, Hannes speaking here from Eurostat. I can offer to share my screen if you want.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, I cannot change. Let me make you Hannes presenter, if okay with you.
I can also share it now.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, let me see. Share content. Here we have it already.
Perfect.
Sorry, I was faster.
Okay.
Please go ahead. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, thanks, Lena. You can maybe already comment if you want.
Yes, so nice to see that so many of you have already used it. Is the poll still active? So if there's someone that hasn't answered yet.
We have 53 for the moment. This one is still on.
Yeah. So feel free. But the majority of you have used it. Good.
Seems so.
Let's then proceed to the other poll. Could you
Okay,
activate
I
it,
will stop
please?
this one. And
so if you have used it, the next question is what you have used it for. You can choose several of these options before sending. And if you haven't used it, of course, you don't need to answer. So it's been mainly used for getting help with INSPIRE implementation and for searching information in general. Could you activate the next one for people to or that have already answered to this one? You can express how satisfied you have been with the community forum from 1 to 10 stars. Okay. So I think people have been satisfied with the information that they have found there. They have gotten some help with the INSPIRE implementation, the platform. That's good to see. So perhaps, yeah, let's proceed to the next one. And regarding, you heard about the future scenario, do you have some expectations or what are your wishes for the future, thinking of this new INSPIRE help desk? And is it enough to have this just archived? So it's important to somehow continue through the help desk. I mean, that's the idea, to continue through the help desk. Open chats. So if there is a need, I think these expectations will be collected by GRC, and we can see how they can develop this new system to answer to the needs of the community. Thanks for contributing to this poll, and I think it's time for me to thank and give the floor to next presenter.
thank you, Lena, once again. Maybe we can keep open this last poll. So if you still have any comments on the future, so please enter into the chat, into the poll, and we can basically publish all the results as well later on the page, and we will also use it as an input for our further activities. By saying that, I think our next presenter is Stefania. Stefania, just a second. I need to give you the presenter right. Okay. So Stefania, now you should be able to present. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay. Okay. So after the INSPIRE Community Forum in a nutshell, now a quick tour of the INSPIRE and Environmental Policy Cluster. I am Stefania Morrone. I am the facilitator of the Biodiversity and Area Management Cluster and of the INSPIRE and Environmental Policy Cluster, which is dealing with the implementation and the evolution of INSPIRE and the use of INSPIRE in other policy domain and thematic communities. I just selected most of you the topics. INSPIRE and environmental reporting, as you may imagine, is one of these. The alignment of environmental reporting to INSPIRE and the key role of INSPIRE identifiers in this and INSPIRE priority datasets. And also we will have a look at what's in the cluster regarding high-value datasets in the Open Data Directive and have a look at how INSPIRE is being reused and leveraged by two outstanding projects like GoPeg and the CORDA project. And then we will see what's upcoming in the INSPIRE policy cluster. So alignment of environmental reporting to INSPIRE, I will go very quickly because we are in short of time. But for any detail you may access the forum, please do, because there is a lot of information there. So why alignment of reporting to INSPIRE? Because geospatial reported information overlaps with the INSPIRE scope. Because INSPIRE can help streamlining the environmental reporting process through its interoperable and common data models, can enhance coherence and effectiveness of spatial data management. And in the end, alignment of environmental reporting to INSPIRE will turn on in a less administrative burden on the member states, because having INSPIRE compliant data for e-reporting means to be already well underway to fulfill related INSPIRE obligation, and of course vice versa, and will avoid multiple provision of same data. And of course, legal basis, regulation on the alignment of a reporting obligation in the field of legislations related to the environment. And how is this alignment being reached? Following a stepwise approach per reporting obligation based on demand and reporting deadlines, and following using different technical solutions on a case-by-case basis, so based on needed information and data flows. Mainly two different technical solutions. A linked approach in which thematic data are linked to geospatial reference INSPIRE data that already published by the member states. And this links happens via the INSPIRE ID. And this is the case of the CDDA reporting, so the nationally designated areas, and the INSPIRE relevant data team is, as you may imagine, protected sites. Other technical solution is the extended approach. So INSPIRE data models are made to be extended. And in this case are extended to provide additional thematic information required by the reporting data flows. This is the case, for example, of the Air Quality Directive reporting, which was the first one to be aligned, and in which a single schema extends multiple INSPIRE data teams, so data models, in this case, environmental monitoring facilities, area management, and administrative units. The EU registry, which extends production and industrial facilities, and the End Noise Directive reporting, which also in this case extends many INSPIRE teams, but each in a specific data flow. For example, you can easily imagine that reporting of major roads and major railways extends the INSPIRE transport network, the agglomeration extends area management, and so on. Having a look at the screenshots on the left, you can easily imagine that you will find much more details in the forum. So in the cluster, please access, have a look. Also because there are special pages dedicated to this. And in each special pages, you find, of course, general information, links to the legal basis and so on, but above all, useful example. So priority dataset related to the reporting, encoded according to INSPIRE data teams, so harmonized according to INSPIRE. So please access. Regarding the alignment of environmental noise reporting to INSPIRE, I would like to highlight that it leverages the outcomes of INSPIRE alternative encodings, which is a MIG action.
Just a moment, I tried to see how yeah. Yes, okay, please. You can speak, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know, I see. Sorry.
Hi, Natalie. Okay, the end reporting leverages the outcomes, builds on the outcomes from the INSPIRE alternative encoding, but reusing model transformation rules which are applicable to general INSPIRE data types, common INSPIRE data types. For example, simplification for the geographical names, so the simple geographical names, simple citation that are structure reused in the end reporting, as well as encoding specific rules, in this case for the geopackage encoding. And also during the alignment of the environmental noise reporting, a change proposal was submitted to INSPIRE implementing rules for the human health and safety data teams for provision of noise contours as full INSPIRE environmental health determinant measures special objects. For details, of course, please access the cluster. Key role of INSPIRE identifiers. Many discussions ongoing on this on the cluster. I just selected 4 here, but this topic is hidden in many posts and in many selected highlights. Identifiers of spatial objects are a key for reuse of INSPIRE spatial objects and of INSPIRE data. And INSPIRE indeed does not mandate any encoding for these identifiers. But what we have is a strong recommendation to use URIs. I would like to direct you to this post here, the INSPIRE ID guidance for the INSPIRE priority dataset and environmental reporting obligation. Very interesting indeed, and contains links to other discussion and other insights. And also, I would like to highlight here, so conclusions of what would be the best encoding. So the INSPIRE ID namespace in the form of HTTP URIs, local ID puts equal to the GML ID, and to insert the GML identifier for each special object. It is an optional attribute, but indeed it is very important to have it as a concatenation of INSPIRE ID namespace and INSPIRE ID local ID. And possible, these URLs should be resolvable. And this would help a lot for the identification of geospatial reference data. And also, I would like to highlight that also thematic ID is important. So please have a look at how this is being reused in the reporting obligations. And also, for example, in the environmental noise directive reporting, this is used in all the data flow. So, INSPIRE priority dataset. This is another hot topic from the cluster. INSPIRE priority, there is a special page of explaining what these priority datasets are, providing links to how tag the metadata related to the INSPIRE priority dataset, which are datasets which are geospatial reference data for reporting the thematic datasets. So they their metadata has to be tagged properly using the metadata code list register. And also there is a link to the priority dataset viewer and above all, what you will be able to find in this special page is link to example of priority dataset harmonized according to relevant INSPIRE themes. Just a news about the priority dataset list. A new version of this priority dataset list is available with a mapping to INSPIRE themes section. So, and this is very important because having a consistent mapping of reporting obligation and supporting data to INSPIRE special objects is crucial for the development of a pan-European dataset. So you will find also in the cluster discussions related on how to provide, for example, noise exposure delineation priority dataset under the human health and safety data team, and how to reuse existing datasets as INSPIRE priority dataset for the WFD. So please access and have a look. So, and that's all from my side for the moment. It's time for questions. So maybe we can open the floor.
Yeah, I think I don't see for the moment anything in the chat. I would rather maybe use the chat since we are already running a bit late. So maybe we can collect the questions through the chat. So I propose you go with the other presentation and then we can answer it later if it's fine with you.
Perfect. Sure.
Okay.
So INSPIRE and pan-European datasets. There are currently several ongoing initiatives and projects exploring the possibility of using the INSPIRE infrastructure directly for the purpose of creating pan-European dataset and applications with strong engagement of stakeholders and emphasis on real demand and tangible use cases. And dissemination of results and lessons learned from such activity is also a key for future activity. For example, for the prioritization of certain INSPIRE spatial data team and dataset in the next future and evolution of the INSPIRE directive. So, a quick overview of what's available on the cluster on high-value datasets. They are defined in the Open Data Directive. There is a special page also for this on the forum. So please have a look there. So the high-value datasets are documents which are associated with important benefits for society, the environment, and the economy that have a potential to generate significant socioeconomic and environmental benefits and innovative services, benefit a high number of users, and assist in generating revenues, and be combined with other datasets. And they shall be made available free of charge in a machine-readable format, provided via APIs and back download where relevant. What we have for the moment is just a list of 6 thematic categories of high-value datasets. So they must be related to geospatial, Earth observation and environment, meteorological, statistics, competent company ownership, and mobility. But next steps foresees the and its upcoming and implementing act with a list of high-value datasets. It's expected to be there in the first quarter of 2021, but for sure you will hear more on this in other presentations. And also there will be high-value dataset publication measure specifications, so which would be license, the format, update frequency, key attributes, and so on. And now a few words on 2 projects which are ongoing and are, as I was saying in the introduction, are leveraging INSPIRE achievement for the creation of pan-European dataset and dataset with high value. The first one we will see is the GoPeg project, long name, this is a long acronym, Generation of Cross-Border Pan-European Geospatial Datasets and Services. And the aim of the project is creation of high-value, harmonized thematic open dataset in the fields of environment, emergency, and disaster management. And this project sees a very strong engagement of the stakeholders. So use cases are driven by true stakeholders' needs, and the work foresees the integration of non-INSPIRE data sources from the stakeholders with INSPIRE data discoverable on the INSPIRE geoportals for the purpose of creating pan-European datasets. And focus is on priority datasets. And harmonized data will be made available via standard-based API and published in the European data portal as open data. And the expected outputs of the projects are in line with the evolution of the environmental data sharing in Europe, so the European data strategy and the European single market for data, and the requirements of the Open Data Directive on availability of high-value dataset that, as we have just heard, must be provided through APIs in machine-readable formats and so on. So more than 10 use cases there. I just put some highlights from the description of these use cases. For example, there is a use case to support adaptation of forest management to climate change. So data that will support, the output data will support this adaptation. And another one to preserve and secure the European drinking and freshwater supplies. Organize and deliver subsurface information for a sustainable and safe use of natural resources. And another use case will combine statistical information on population and buildings data to calculate the impact on the population of an emergency event, a flood, an earthquake, a fire. And another use case will leverage geospatial data and cutting-edge technologies for a common understanding of the different phases of the COVID-19 pandemic and its impacts. And as a side note, this will build on the outcomes of the API for INSPIRE project, but you will hear about this in another presentation, an upcoming presentation. And also what I would like to highlight from this project, the highly reusable tools that will be made available for automated data harmonization. So, for example, an automated data harmonization workbench for the creation of harmonized data set and relevant web services. So, very, very interesting projects. And another project which reuses INSPIRE is the CORDA project. The CORDA project is the Copernicus Reference Data Access, provides cartographic reference data to Copernicus service providers through a comprehensive search, classification, and indexing of data sources across Europe, through a thorough methodology for data gathering and validation, registration, and maintenance of data. How could Copernicus benefit from INSPIRE? Copernicus services need access to up-to-date, harmonized, pan-European geospatial information that can be created from INSPIRE data. And since 2017, activities are ongoing aimed at benefiting from INSPIRE for the Copernicus services process. Very quickly, how this is happening. There is a search in the INSPIRE geoportal in the INSPIRE thematic viewer through automated metadata search procedures for discovering of dataset candidate for ingestion in a multi-country DB that will be hosting this data and from which pan-European dataset current multi-country indeed. We do not have reached a pan-European level currently creation. And of course, there is still a need to search in national and regional geoportal to fill in current availability gaps of data in INSPIRE geoportal. So data so collected is ingested in the multi-country DB for the creation of which simplified INSPIRE data models have been reused. Currently, data teams are related to hydrography, buildings, administration, administrative units, and ongoing investigation for possible land use. Of course, very quickly, when data is harmonized, so when we are able to access INSPIRE harmonized data, ETL will be the same. The same ETL can be reused for all the data set relevant to that team, related to that INSPIRE data team, while of course for non-INSPIRE data we have to provide ad hoc ETLs to fill in the multi-country DB. We are reusing the INSPIRE infrastructure, the INSPIRE geoportal, the INSPIRE data models, the INSPIRE data. And from this multi-country DB, job packages are created multi-country and are downloadable for the CORDA platform available for Copernicus users. What's quite interesting is that the CORDA project is somehow providing feedback to INSPIRE data providers. So despite first positive note, despite the dataset conformance to INSPIRE is not always achieved, data from the INSPIRE geoportal contain the most up-to-date and official available information to be used for the creation of this multi-country dataset. And using harmonized data with the same and well-documented data structure allows the same process to be applied to data from different countries. And this is a very important efficiency gain. But then recommendations for the INSPIRE data providers, please document data quality in the metadata, carefully filling the resource abstract, the lineage, and also filling in optional elements on completeness and omissions. Make available downloadable data via atom feeds or bulk download, and possibly also in more handy formats than GML, such GeoPackages. Too many accessibility issues, please make your data service work. When data is not yet conformant to INSPIRE, make available data model and data dictionary, and too many voidable optional attributes not filled. So please, the overall recommendation is go beyond format conformance and make your INSPIRE data fully reusable. And upcoming cluster topics. So the INSPIRE directive is at the end of this foreseen implementation cycle. However, in the new digital strategies, as we have heard in the introductory speech, the overall relevance of the INSPIRE directive remains high. And the interoperable INSPIRE Spatial Data Services can be a key to data sharing in support of the environmental equity, the Green Deal objective, and the development of a European single market for data. So what you will find in the INSPIRE and the environmental cluster, something about green data for all, revision of INSPIRE directive, simplification of INSPIRE, the new INSPIRE MEWP, so the work program 2020-2024, the common implementation learning zone, need-driven data prioritization, more on HVD under the Open Data Directive, European data governance, and more on this in following presentation. And that's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Stefania. For the moment, I don't really see any questions in the chat, only the one comment from Eckhart, basically saying that the results of GoPrec project should be used in the course of INSPIRE evaluation in order to come to a real EU use with EU-wide data coming from INSPIRE. I fully agree with that, and for sure it will be used. I don't know if Stefania, you want to add something or comment it, or you can do it later. I also invite all other participants, if you have any specific questions.
Yes.
Okay.
Just to add that the JRC is in GOPEG advisory board.
Yeah.
So there is a strong connection for sure. Results will be made available.
Thank you, Stefania, for that. There is one question here from Miroslav Fanta. Could you please clarify mentioned simplification of INSPIRE?
Yes, we keep connected to the forum, and you will hear more on that for sure. Or what already a step forward has been done through the MIG Action 2072. So on alternative encode, work on alternative encodings for INSPIRE data. There are common rules for simplification of data types, but much more on this will be said for sure, maybe by Yuri in his presentation, so presentation from DG Environment. So maybe just it's better to wait for this other presentation.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Stefania. I think in the sake of time, we should move with next presentation. So as I said, for all participants, please just put the question in the chat. We will follow it and try to answer it, or you can also contact Stefania or even Lena if you come with some questions on first presentation through the email. I will now give the floor to Kati. So Kati, you should be able now to start presentation. And Kati, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, I think I found the right screen. And
Yes.
I will now be bringing some of the details of how does all of this stuff really work on various examples we've been setting up within the API for INSPIRE project. I'll be starting with some work on French-German cross-border borders. So let me start at the beginning. What are OGCH? I know this word is being bandied around everywhere. What does this really mean? So it's basically a replacement for the existing O2C web services, which were all XML based, were all a bit difficult. It's nice RESTful services. We've got a URI endpoint, which uniquely references each object. Most of the encoding is geared towards JSON. And the way OGC is setting up these API definitions, each service has a minimal core and can then be extended as required. Next step, why APIs in INSPIRE? INSPIRE, as we know it, I mean, we've got various alternatives, GeoPackage, Atom Feed, but the core download services have been the various OGC web services. And we've all gotten used to them, but they are hard to use. And this is why OGC has realized technology has developed. Web services were popular 20 years ago. Nowadays, things are working with APIs. And the OGC API has been standardized within the OGC since 2016. OGC API features, that's what used to be referred to as WFS3. That's being mostly finalized. I think it's currently under review. And within the API for INSPIRE project, we then tried to see how does this fit into INSPIRE. So we've got INSPIRE good practice status for both of these APIs. So as I mentioned, it's the RESTful follow-up to WFS2. We have different response formats. Under the normal web services, we only had XML results. The APIs also provide various JSON dialects, HTML views, so it becomes much more flexible. And the INSPIRE data models can still be provided the way that they've been provided under the WFS2 systems. I'm going to show you a bit of technical detail because I have the feeling most people out here they've all heard API. They can row up the 3 letters, but what does this really mean? So I'm going to try and show you this in a very short nutshell. It's got a totally different URL pattern. So you've got your basic URL, and then you have /collections. And this is where you can then show what types of features are you providing. So this is from one of the test servers out at BRGM. We have various features dealing with environmental monitoring and water. So these are all the different feature types they provide. And here you can also see it as a JSON document. So as I mentioned, you have the alternative. You can see the same information, nice HTML for humans, JSON for computers who just feel happier with this. Next step is now I want to see what's really within a specific collection. I give the collection ID, so the name of the feature type at the end of the URL path. And I get a JSON document which describes this feature type and what representations are available. If I want to now look at what individual items are in there, I take again the same path. At the end of the collection ID, I put /items, and I get a list of all the individual features which are in that collection. Here I'm using the JSON representation because it's easier. You could also request it in XML. Finally, if you want an individual item, you can select the item ID. So I'm not sure if it's visible. Here we've got the ID --0072. And if I add that at the end of my path as the item ID, I only get that one feature. So that's the absolute bitter nutshell of OGC API features. There's various querying logic, but that's still in the process of being defined. Second API we're talking about, the OGC Sensor Things API. So this is just as the OGC API features is a follow-up for WFS2, OGC Sensor Things API is the follow-up for sensor observation service. And it covers the O&M model, so it's been aligned to the INSPIRE environmental monitoring facilities. And we can also serve all of the data models based on that, and also based on the observational core in INSPIRE, all run beautifully with the sensor things model, in addition to some other things. With the word model, that's one of the major differences. We actually have a data model. So we're not just talking about features. We say we have various things where we have our sensors mounted. We have observed properties, which can be provided by these sensors. These are linked together in a data stream. And attached to the data stream, you have all of your individual measurement values as observations. These are then linked to the feature of interest. What was it really measured on? And showing how this works on the real API endpoint. You've got the basic API endpoint. If you look at I think there are 8 classes, you'll see that all of them are mirrored here on the left side. So when you access an OGC, a Sensor Things API, you get a list of what classes do we have. Next, under each class, you have a URL. And so these are all nicely aligned. You've got the data streams URL, gives you all the data streams objects. Here you've got all of the features of interest. You can access all of the locations. So that's how you get the basic list of objects. And also, if you look at the paths there, you'll see that you have the basic path and / and the name of the object type. Same pattern as we had under the OGC API features, that you've got collection / feature type. Here we've got sensor things API / class. Then we've got various requests and responses. So you can create objects, update them, replace them, delete them. There are all sorts of ways of customizing your requests. You've got pagination requests, and then you've got some really cool filtering and encoding. Don't get too scared by these requests. They get a bit tricky to formulate, but the cool thing is the power of it. I mean, if you click on this request, presentations will be made available. And this request, the last benzol measurement for all of the stations in Baden-Württemberg, and it reduces the data just to station name, geometry, and observation. And this provides a nice piece of data this way. Alternatively, I might want to have it as GeoJSON. So here I get it as a GeoJSON response. I can plug that into any GeoJSON viewer, and I'm good. Okay, a short bit on this API for INSPIRE thing. I wanted to first explain what are these APIs, and I will explain how we get them into INSPIRE. So this has been financed by the ELISE program. It was based on popular demand saying, what are these APIs? We want them. And so we've got a novel approach. We've got the whole set of data providers on board and are really learning from doing. That's why I've got all sorts of cool stuff to show you over this morning. Our tasks are define an evaluation methodology so that we can really prove the benefits and of all of these efforts, various deployment strategies, both for both API types. We've got all sorts of API endpoints. You'll get all of the information on the URL at the bottom. That's our project website. And there you'll also find all sorts of cool information. We've been setting up tutorials, guidance documents, great stuff. Our data providers, as mentioned, we've got data providers from across Europe. I'm not going to read them. They're here. They've all been supporting us. And we have data, we've sort of grouped them into various sets of co-located and complementary data sources. We've got within Austria, we've got air transport, and we've got in Hamburg, we've got lots of smart city stuff. Focus of this talk is the Franco-Germanic flow. We've got cross-border water, surface and groundwater quality, quantity, anything you can imagine. And finally, we've got some ad hoc sources, more on that later. So here we've just got where all we have different type of sensor things across Europe. It shows you the flexibility of this technology, that we've been providing all sorts of data, details of the Franco-Germanic flow. So we've got the French Geological Survey together with the French Office of Biodiversity, and they're grouped together within the Insight Information Systems, are doing really cool work on bringing INSPIRE and related initiatives forward into new technologies. On the German side, we've got the Environment Agency of Baden-Württemberg. At the bottom, we've got our various endpoints and viewers. And here you've got a bit of an overview of what all we're providing. So we've got all of the river segments, water quality stations, measurements at all points, and you can pull the time series off of this. At the top right, we have a floodplain. Here we've got a bit more details on what we're doing. So we've got this big river segment there. That's my best guess at a river. And if you look at that in detail, you start seeing it's split into all sorts of nodes and river segments. They are linked together. We've got an environmental monitoring facility here. The EF is the environmental monitoring facility. Its observing capabilities show that it is measuring at exactly this measurement point. And that all of these links are live. They're all cross-linked. You can really traverse all the way through. So you can start at any point and find all of the other bits. Here we've got our project website. This is the API for INSPIRE site. So if you want information on any of this stuff, there's all sorts of cool information there. Here we've got a bit of the navigation at the side. So here we've got for GeoServer a lot of stuff. I've been doing a lot of work on making all the app schema mapping easier. And we have similar information on Sensor Things API. Anything you want to know about that, it's there, full tutorial. Take a look at it, play with our endpoints, enjoy. That's it for the first bit. Any questions?
Thank you, Kathy. I'm just looking now at the chat. There is one comment saying the issue. Just a second. The issue is that GeoServer doesn't support HTML format in OGC API for application schema. Application schema extension is needed to encoding INSPIRE data in JSON according to alternative encoding rules. That's why currently it is impossible to publish data using JSON and HTML format parallel. Any comment on that, Kathy?
I would have to look what are what do you mean with HTML? Are you referring to the representation of the individual features in HTML format? Because the collection description was from GeoServer with HTML. I also have to say, I mean, it's currently a development version. This is still a work in progress. The standard hasn't been finalized. No, for features, they haven't gotten there yet. So that's still open, but be aware of the fact this standard has not been finalized. It is still work in progress, and I'm impressed with how far GeoServer has gotten reading between the lines of where this is going. So it will get there, but be a bit patient.
Okay.
Other questions?
Thanks, Kati. No, there is only one asking Simon for the presentations. Yes, all presentations, as we said, will be made available later on the web page on the webinar, together with the agenda and also together with the recording of the webinar. So that's all for the moment. I think, Kati, you can just proceed.
Okay, hey, we're in time. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Okay, Stefani, are you starting on this one? I'm not sure how we decided to split the speaking here.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
I was muted. I was speaking to myself. Sorry. Yes, Kathy, you can go through the slide and I will comment the first one. Just one thing. The links in the chat. The guy who wanted the links. They are already, some of them, available in the agenda. So if they want to play with the APIs endpoints.
Exactly, all the endpoints
Yes, already there maybe, but of course they will be shared through presentations later on. So maybe if you can go back to the first one,
okay.
just to, yes, the GeoCovid Watch. What is the GeoCovid Watch? It is a use case from the GoPeg project. It is nice to highlight, just since the beginning, please go, Kati, that the GeoCovid Watch builds on what's already available under the API for INSPIRE projects. And of course, building on what's already available is always a win-win deal. So what is the overall goal of the GeoCovid Watch use case? When this COVID-19 pandemic, with the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak, we started to ask if our expertise could be leveraged somehow to improve COVID data management and data sharing. So could be used to create data with higher value. So the use case aims at investigating benefits that geospatial data and the state-of-the-art technologies and standards integration can bring to a common understanding of the COVID-19 pandemic and its impacts, and how this is done in practice, creating a repository of known initiatives, providing data relevant to COVID-19, and expose information on initiatives available through OGC API features. And we have already just heard what is the OGC API feature standards. And then, in addition to that, create an aggregator collecting COVID-19 related data across Europe and exposing this COVID-19 data via Sensor Things API. Which of course is the standard to interconnect internet within sensing devices, data and application on the web. Next, thank you, Kati. We live in a world of big data, of artificial intelligence. We are always connected to the internet, to smart factories, smart cities, but what we really found is that COVID data is made available through Excel, is managed through Excel and CSV. And this creates a lot of issues with data loss and also misunderstanding related to methodologies behind the data. In the next slide, we can see that there is no agreement on statistical metrics to use on data aggregation process. We have little provenance data currently, and often the methodology behind the numbers is not clear, is unclear how this data is being derived. And this affects, of course, also the comparability of national testing strategies and country response measure. There was this document related to recommendations for a common EU testing approach for COVID-19 from the European Commission, and saying that, of course, there is a great diversity between countries concerning the implementation of testing strategies for asymptomatic cases, the way the people is tested before admitting hospitals, and so on. So how could this be improved? Which are potential solutions to this? The use of cutting-edge technologies. So define clean and automated data flows for a more advanced systems for data management and data flows, sharing of methodologies, and using new technologies and standard-based data sharing. Enrich data with additional data sources to make data more comparable. So adding to statistics, as to statistical metrics, data on demography, on population, on hospitals, on free beds in the hospitals. And exposing this, using these cutting-edge technologies, so as open data through APIs, and that can support development of apps on top of the data, and be leveraged for artificial intelligence and more and more. So more details will be provided by Kati now on the workflows we are following in this use case.
Thank you very much, Stefania. Okay, here I first want to give you an overview of what is sort of really the landscape of data. What are we talking about? So here I've got regional, national, and international levels going upwards. At the bottom, we've got the various labs which are doing the analyses. And on the left, we've got the policy administrative side. And so, I mean, at the very bottom level, we've got really the individual case data. This goes towards the contact tracing. Back from that come various cluster analyses. This we see out of scope because this is so close to personal data. This we want to stay very far away from, because this is really the individual people knowing that they are ill. We find it, the point where we pick it up is where it gets aggregated to the number of cases. As of that point, it becomes data we can make openly available. And that's where it starts getting interesting, where we then have from the various aggregators, the number of cases and also the number of clusters and the nature of the clusters, again, being input to policy. Various policy measures come out of this. Do we go into lockdown? How many friends are we allowed to see? All of this information. This part of the information we're collecting is stored in the initiative DB that has been made available via the OTC API features. Again, all the endpoints are in the webinar description. Further information we have is, again, the number of cases and policy measures. And for this purpose, we've investigated SensorThings API. This actually came out of a demonstrator which was done by a student at the Technical University in Stuttgart. That sometime last spring, it seems he was bored in lockdown, and we suddenly found all of the COVID data from Hopkins and a few other institutes nicely available there. So we've been following up on that. So those are our two data sources. And then finally, we pull it all together and can properly map it, visualize it, and show this in various manners. More details how we're really implementing this. We again have our levels going from very local to international. And the initiative database, this is all manual work. This is basically Stefania and myself identifying this information and inputting it. There's no way of automating this process. Here we collect information on the various initiatives which have been started, the endpoints being made available by them, and also the types of data which they provide. The second branch of our work is now the one going towards SensorThings. This is where we have the number of cases, be the number of positives, the number of ill, the number deceased, the number recovered, together with the policy measures, are schools open, how many people can meet. that all can be automatically imported into the sensor things database and made available via that technology. In order to integrate these two bits, we've also linked the indicators, because as I mentioned, the initiative endpoints show for which concepts do they provide data. The sensor things endpoint really provides the data. This needs to be linked together so that we can clearly see that this initiative endpoint is providing this actual data record. And finally, to put it all into context, this is one of the triggers for then experimenting with demography and sensor things. Because we'd gotten the case data online, we knew how many positives we have. And if you have 100 positives, I mean, if this is the city of Vienna, I am not at all worried. If this is some rural town somewhere, they've got a problem. So we really need the demography as a type of base layer to bring everything else into context. And that can then all be pulled together and allows us to show, to use it by applications, show all sorts of cool maps and graphs and charts. A short overview of the GeoCovid Watch Initiative database. This is sort of the absolute minimalized structure. We have initiatives. Each initiative can be linked to n endpoints. At the bottom, we've got vocabularies of indicators. And again, the indicators can be linked to the endpoints. That is the trivial nutshell of all of this. Here you've got the 3 endpoints. So we've got all of the initiatives, we've got all the vocabularies, and you can also browse the individual indicators we're providing. Here you can see it as JSON coming off of the services. So which is this one? This is an initiative. Now going off to the sensor thing side of things, I've mentioned that the first prototype was done at the Technical University of Stuttgart. And now the API for INSPIRE project has been supporting GoPeg by doing this for various of the European data providers. So we have data from the Italian Civil Protection. This covers NUTS levels 0, 2, and 3. We actually ended up putting it into our demography database because there we had our NUTS units already. And here we've got the list of indicators that they provide. And here I can show you what we can do as demo maps. So here we've got Italy, I think, on NUTS 2 level. And you can click on a region. Sorry, Stefania, for picking on Calabria, but it's nice at the bottom where we can see something. You can see all of the different metrics that we can provide on the region of Calabria. The top half are demography metrics, and at the bottom you see the various COVID-related ones. And then if you click on, I think, the number of active cases, you get a nice time series since they started collecting data on the current number of positive cases. So conclusions on this, Stefania, do you want to take this over? I will talk, and if I say something wrong, you will tell me.
Okay, I can comment on conclusion. Thank you, Kathy. As you've seen, clear governance and data flow are essential for high-value data provision because they allows definition of reliable resources and maintenance of the app content and utilization of standards is also another key for sharing high-value data. In this case, we used observational standard-based data models because we are talking about sharing observation, so statistical numbers, statistical metrics related to what we observe in reality regarding the COVID-19 infection. And we are using OGC API, so RESTful API, because they allow browser-based access and also simple application development. And utilization of existing standard tools vastly enhances effectivity because in a short time, let's say, we can define this as a short time, Kathy, right? We were able to put in place, to set up our endpoints for sharing COVID-19 data. So we have also a few open issues in the use case. So not everything for the moment can be automated. And so there is still a need for manual intervention, for example, related to policy measures, and that have to be kept up to date manually. And how to collect data governance strategies, so how to express this, how to link this. And also a question also for the audience. Should the presented approach form the core of a more generalized European epidemiological reporting system? So using state-of-the-art technologies to have data with higher value, because they link to provenance data, they link to methodologies behind. So we don't see just numbers, but these numbers are contextualized. And I guess with this question, we can close our presentation. Kati?
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you, Kati. Thank you, Stefania. I think it was really interesting presentation, and I hope there will be some comments on your questions posted. For the moment, I don't see in chat anything. Maybe we are all basically reserved for the coffee break. So please, if you still have questions or it just pop up with the coffee, put it in the chat. We will be all glad to answer you also later. I think we are perfectly on time. We can stop now for some little bit more than 10 minutes, 14 minutes, if I see correctly. And then basically we will start with the second session at 11. So please grab your coffee, take a short break, and then we start again at 11. Thank you.